For reasons that utterly escape everyone involved, you're listening to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. Here are your hosts, Gabe Howard and Michelle Hammer.
Welcome to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. I'm Michelle, I'm schizophrenic.
I'm Gabe, I'm bipolar, and before we get started, we want to give you an opportunity to maybe be on the show. All you have to do is either A, make a 2 to 3 minute recording and email it to show@psychcentral.com and tell us a little bit of your personal story. Or, if that's too advanced for you, we're very inclusive here on the show. Just type up a little of your personal story, like 500 words or less, and well, just tell us about it. Remember those old 80s court shows? It's like, have you been wronged by your neighbor? Send us a letter and tell us about it. It's like that.
Solino and Barnes, injury attorneys, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Everyone knows the phone number. I'm not even going to say it.
No, I've never heard this before in my life. I think this is why you're single.
Hey!
I mean, it could be, you don't know. But actually, don't a lot of people think that you're single because you're schizophrenic?
Yes.
See, I think you're single because you're annoying.
Oh, you know what, Gabe? You've been married 3 times.
Right, so I can get a woman to marry me. I just can't get a woman to stay with me.
Listen. There is a homeless dude on near the post office that has proposed to me like 4 times.
So you're saying there's a severely mentally ill guy near the post office? That's my wife's type, not mine. So for those that are slow on the uptick, today's episode is about mental illness and dating. And this show was inspired because our dear single lonely Michelle found dating apps and websites geared specifically toward people with mental illness. That's right. There's sexy for schizophrenics, banging for bipolars. I can't say what the depression one is for, but it starts with a D.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, none of these are real, but what is real is that there are specific dating sites for people who live with mental illness.
It's called Tinder.
It's called Tinder. But seriously, Michelle, you did find this. Tell the listeners about this phenomenon, because this is amazing. This is amazing to me.
Well, the thing is, I looked up a few, and what I found was a bunch of different websites. But what's interesting is that I joined one specific website, and I really got no hits at all. And a lot of people were in the United Kingdom, and then there was a chat room, and I said hello, and there was 4 people in there, and I said, what's up? And everyone said, oh, I'm just hanging out. Okay. No one had anything to say.
Wait. You glossed over, you signed up for one. You signed up for a website dedicated to helping people with mental illness connect. Find love.
I did, yes. And you had to list your hobbies, things you like to do, what mental illness you have, or if you'd rather not disclose. But you're on the website anyway, so why are you not going to disclose?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to know I'm mentally ill. I'm just on a website designed to help mentally ill people meet other mentally ill people.
Yeah, and apparently if you're in the UK, there's a ton.
We have both used online dating sites and apps, both of us. I met my wife on a website, and it's worked out gangbusters for me. I found a stable woman to take care of me.
Was it Tinder?
It was not Tinder. No, Tinder didn't exist when we got together. Back when I was on the websites, you had to write long paragraphs describing your perfect partner and what you wanted.
DTF, HBU.
Now, Tinder is just here's a picture. You want to? Left or right? There was a lot more effort back in my day.
Gabe, do you even know which way is yes? Swipe right or swipe left? Which way is yes?
Left.
No.
This explains a lot. Do you know, Michelle?
Of course I know. Swipe right is yes. Swipe left is no.
Now, you know a lot about online dating services, but I can't help but notice that you remain unattached. So is it safe to say that really the online dating community has rejected you, and that is why you were looking into, schizophreniafindlove.com?
Oh my God, no. I was just exploring the world, and it's not that I am single because I don't want to be single. It's just, it's one of those things. Whoever I like doesn't like me. Whoever likes me, I don't like. It's just the way of the world.
Okay, so what did you learn? Because one of the things that came up is that you actually got to talk to the owner of one of these websites. And you did like a little mini interview.
Right. No,
now, how did that come about?
That was actually really funny. So I signed up for the website, and then like I get like a follow on Facebook, and then I get like a friend request, and then again I start getting these messages, and it's the guy that created the website, and he actually lives in the county that I grew up in, and he's messaging me. And he's telling me about the website and all this kind of stuff, and he's talking to me, and he actually told me a very interesting fact, that on his website, the dating website for people with mental illness, that it has spawned 50 marriages.
50 marriages?
That is what he said. The owner of the website told me it spawned 50 marriages. So that is pretty amazing.
That is. How old is this website?
That I do not know.
Did he track divorces?
Not that I'm aware of.
But isn't it interesting? I do say that tongue in cheek, but I think that the average person listening would think, hey, 50 mentally ill people married each other. Is that a good idea? I think that maybe a lot of people's brains went in that direction, because mine did. And I try to fight the stigma of mental illness, but there really is a powerful question to ask. Should two people with mental illness be dating each other? And before we get booed down, we're going to be fair here. Obviously, two stable people with mental illness should get married all day and all day long. We all agree with that. But come on, I know myself, and I remember when I was symptomatic and unstable as hell, I was still dating. And if I would have connected with another person who was also unstable, that would have been fireworks. But would that have been a good idea? Michelle, your thoughts?
Quickly, my thoughts. I mean, when I was unstable and dating, should I have dated somebody unstable? I mean, I have no freaking clue. I mean, you gotta learn to love yourself first before you can love somebody else.
Listen, masturbation jokes aside, be serious. We have all heard, you and I both, have heard the stories of people that have met in the psychiatric ward and began dating when they got out.
I have never heard that.
You've never heard it?
No.
Do you talk to your fellow mentally ill people? This is so common. The psych ward romance is basically the meet cute of the mental health community.
Oh my God. The last time I was in the psych ward, I left with like 6 different guys' numbers.
A minute ago, you've never heard of this.
No, they gave me their number. You know what I did with their numbers? I threw them in the garbage.
Why were you unwilling to date these 6 men from the psych ward?
Okay, dude. No. I don't even know how old some of them were. There was no lovely gentleman. There was no gentleman.
Listen. Let's say that there was a nice, lovely gentleman, as you put it. A nice person of good heart, and made you laugh and cheered you up during the dark days in the psychiatric facility. Would you have then begun dating that person?
I mean, it depends how they acted in the psych ward.
They were in the psych ward, Michelle. They acted like they belonged in a psych ward.
Not everybody acts the same in the psych ward. I had one guy with a mustache. He kept calling me April May, and he was like trying to give me a blanket. He kept trying to give me milk and stuff, but he kept calling me April May, and he had a mustache. Like, and I had to tell the guy. I don't know what
the mustache has to do with this story, but you're very much hung up on it.
I'm just saying, like, I had to tell one of the dudes, like, please don't let that guy around me anymore. He's really creeping me out. You know what I'm saying? So
here's all we're going to accept. I just want a yes or no question. Do you think that two people who meet in a psychiatric ward should begin dating when they get out? Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Why?
I think that is a very bad idea.
Why?
I think that when you get out of the psychiatric ward, you're very vulnerable. And I don't think that you're in the good place to pick a life partner. You know, in groups like AA, they recommend that you don't date other group members until you've been out for at least a year.
When I was there, I was dating someone throughout that time.
How did that work out?
Fine.
Listen, I was dating somebody when I was in the psych ward too. She's the one who took me to the psych ward. We got married even. She is my second divorce. So I understand that personal experience plays a lot, and everybody's mileage may vary. Listen, my parents knew each other for 5 weeks before they got married. Do you think that people that live in different states that have known each other for 5 weeks should get married?
No.
Especially when one of them has a young child?
No.
My parents have been married for like 2,000 years. So clearly that worked out for them. So if you met the love of your life in a psychiatric ward and it's working out, that's great. Drop us a line. Tell us the story. show@psychcentral.com. But by and large, I hear a lot of really nasty breakups that come from this.
I've never even heard a story of two people in the psych ward getting together.
I was propositioned in a psych ward. You heard my story in episode 7.
I mean, I was like a gem in that psych ward. Those guys were all over me. I mean, I was just staying away. We were playing pool. But really, it was me hanging out with guys the entire time.
Are you sure you were in a psych ward? Maybe in your delusional state, you were at a swingers club and somebody just told you it was a psych ward? Because my psych ward experience was scary. There was no like attractive women hitting on me while playing pool. We weren't even allowed to have a ping pong table.
No, there was a ping pong table that I think we had this discussion, Gabe.
You were allowed to have a ping pong table?
Only at one of the places.
This is okay. So we've established that you think that a couple of people who are so sick they need to be in a psych ward, when they get out, they can make decisions to date. I think maybe you should take some time to get stable so that you can build these relationships. But I understand that loneliness is a huge deal in our community.
I think you can work together in your recovery, don't you think?
I don't know. As much as I hate to say it, and again, I know we're going to get angry letters because you're about to yell at me for this, I'm not sure that I would marry somebody that had mental illness.
Oh my God.
Even though I fully expected somebody to want to marry me, and I have mental illness.
I've dated so many people in New York that were just like so depressed.
Well, yeah, they're in New York.
I'm just saying.
Did those work out?
Well, not so much.
I feel the need to put giant asterisks on this and say, look, if your relationship is good and solid, who cares if the person is, in a coma? But in general, I don't think that people should marry people in comas. But somebody's going to write me a story about how their grandma met their grandfather when he was in a coma and they had 6 kids and had a farm. It's always a farm. I don't know. There's a website called farmersonly.com.
Yes, of course.
Everybody
knows that.
Lonely.
Oh, I didn't know the song.
At farmersonly.com. City folks just don't get it.
PsychCentral.com is the internet's largest and oldest independent mental health online resource. Since 1995, our completely free, award-winning website has been run by mental health professionals offering reliable, trusted information, as well as over 250 support groups to people living with mental illness. From professional articles to personal stories, PsychCentral.com is worth your time checking out and is the generous sponsor of this podcast.
Getting back to the point of this show, Gabe, tell me more why you're a great husband.
Look, as somebody who suffers with depression, I'm not certain I'm a great husband at all, but
you did it 3 times.
That's why I think I'm a shitty husband. But sincerely though, one of the things that I learned from the divorces, from the failed relationships, and from all of my mistakes is that I'm not special. All the rules of marriage apply to me, plus I have to deal with bipolar disorder. Early on, I thought I got a pass. It's like, you yelled at me. Yeah, I have bipolar disorder. I'm moody. Well, no, it's, you yelled at me. I did, and I was wrong. That was wrong. And I had to learn to stop yelling at people. I'm not saying that I've never yelled at my wife. I'd be lying if I had, but it's so few and far between, I can probably count it on one hand.
That's good.
And every single time I apologized. Things got heated, we got mad, whatever. But, marriage is really, really hard. Living with bipolar disorder is really, really hard. So to be a good husband, I have to manage bipolar disorder largely by myself because it sure as hell isn't her burden. And I have to carry my weight in my marriage. Because otherwise I'm just an albatross around the chick's neck. I don't want to be that. My wife doesn't want me to be that.
So you want to be a really good husband?
Who wants to be a bad spouse?
I don't know.
Michelle, you're not even married. Do you want to be a really good wife?
I guess so. I mean, yeah.
What do you mean you guess so?
I'm like not good, not very clean. I mean, I don't really cook. I don't have those wife qualities of the 1950s.
I was going to say, these are not wife qualities for 2018.
I don't wear a poodle skirt.
Oh, that's coming back though. You might want to,
Do I need
especially
an
if you don't
apron?
cook or clean, you might want to get the.
I don't wear an apron. I should get an apron. I should just have an apron that hangs up so when people come over, I'm like, oh, this is my apron for when I cook. I'm just going to start lying, pretend I am all those people. Oh, I cook.
Michelle, you live with schizophrenia. That's well known. We put it in the title of the show, so if people don't know, for real.
I know.
I think our fans are pretty intelligent.
If you don't know, like, you're not listening, especially to
Right.
anything that I'm saying right now, because I'm just going crazy.
Do you think you would make a good wife in spite of the schizophrenia?
Yeah, I think I could do that, as long as I don't annoy the shit out of them.
No, for real. If you were dating somebody and you annoyed the shit out of them, I'd like to think that you would be smart enough not to get married. Now, that's another question. If you were dating somebody, could you recognize that you were in a bad relationship? And for example, if he was constantly annoyed by you, that would be a pretty good indicator that maybe you had a bad relationship.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
you would have the ability to know that you were in a bad relationship. So if you were in a good relationship,
Yes.
where you do not annoy the shit out of your partner,
Is that possible? Then, yeah, whatever, sure, and whatever, yeah.
is marriage on your radar? Be
I
honest.
don't know. You don't ask a 30-year-old woman that question.
I mean, you don't have cats, so you are kind of thinking
Cats
to
are
the future.
disgusting.
Aww. I might add you to the wife list, like number 11.
So you're just the worst husband then.
Why?
Because
I have a list of backups.
Yes.
Demi Lovato is 4.
Oh my God.
Scarlett Johansson aged off the list.
Was Joan Rivers ever on this list?
Joan Rivers was on a different list.
I don't even want to hear it. Done with that.
One of the things that we hear about a lot is you're dating right now, Michelle. When do you disclose that you're a person living in recovery from schizophrenia?
It is so awkward when I get asked what my job is. It's so awkward. I never really know what to say. For a while, I was just going with, I'm a web designer. Yeah, I freelance. Yeah. Recently, I've been saying I'm a mental health advocate. Just really get it out of the way. Talk to me to see who I am, and then whatever. And then I've started to just be like, hey, you want to see a video? And I show them the WebMD documentary about me, and either you could see how awesome it is and see that I'm super cool, or you can be like, this bitty's nuts and getting out of here. You know what? The quicker you get it out, the easier it is, because then it's not on your head and being anxious about it. If you're just going to be anxious about it, you can't really, and you feel like you're not honest with the person, you feel like, how can you have a relationship with this person when you're not being honest, and then think they might not want to be with me anyway. So I think the sooner the better, as long as you're stable. If you definitely don't want to wait until you're being committed somewhere. Oh, by the way, I'm going to the hospital getting committed. It's because of this. You know what I mean? Don't wait until then. That's a terrible idea.
There's so much to say there, but what I want to say sincerely is, do you tell people before you meet them? Do you put in your dating profile, I live with schizophrenia? Or do you put, I'm a New Yorker who loves art and music? Do you add your mental illness to your dating profile? Yes or no?
I say that I'm a mental health advocate.
When I had my profile, I did not. I did not put that I lived with bipolar disorder. I did not put that I was a mental health advocate. There was nothing about mental illness there at all. I told people on the second or third date. That's when I told people. Because I didn't want to disclose to complete strangers, because that looked weird. I'm sorry. I would not respond to an ad where it said, hello, I like long walks on the beach and I'm mentally ill. Because I think, why are you telling me your diagnosis before you're telling me who you are? I want to know who you are.
Yeah, I wouldn't put.
But at the same time, I wouldn't want to hang out for 6 months before, if 6 months in, somebody's like, oh, by the way, I have a long-term illness that I have to manage. I'd be like, really? We've been together for half a year.
Yeah.
So pretend you have a date right now. This is date number 1. Date number 1 goes well. Your mom's listening, so you had dinner, a show, and you went home. No hanky panky. And that was my Blanche impression, everyone. Okay, and then you have date number 2. I'm assuming there's yet another show and dinner, and of course you're making them pay, which would make Blanche very, very proud. But no hanky panky, which would also make Blanche very proud. Now it's the third date. We all know what the third date means. Do you tell people after the third date you have schizophrenia, or before the third date that you have schizophrenia?
Before.
Really?
Yep.
I'm an after kind of guy.
Well, things have changed. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't tell people, but I mean, in the past, but I mean, since it's become, what is your job? You know, and why are you wearing those bracelets on your arm? Do you get paranoid? What's that? Don't be paranoid. People have consistently asked that, and sometimes they say, oh, it's just this company I work for. Stuff like that.
It is interesting to think of where you are in your advocacy dating to where I was in my advocacy dating. 7 years ago, when I met my wife, when I met Kendall, I was not this. I didn't have a top 10 podcast. I didn't have a podcast with a crazy schizophrenic girl from New York City. I wasn't even writing on the internet yet. I didn't have a WebMD column. I didn't have any of this. I didn't have my own t-shirt that had, you know, my bipolar logo on it. So it was a lot easier to hide, because if people asked me what my job was, I said I was a fundraiser.
Oh,
because that's what my job was.
Yeah. Before I started this business, I did not tell anyone I was dating. When I started this business, I was telling the person I was dating at the time, I said, I'm coming up with a company called Schizophrenic NYC, by me, by a schizophrenic. He goes, that doesn't make any sense. You're not schizophrenic. I said, yes, I am. He goes, no, you're not. I go, yes, I am. He goes, no, you're not. Yes, I am. He goes, what? I go, yep. And that's how that happened.
That would have been such an adorable meet cute story. If you would have married that guy, this would be such a touching love story.
All I can say is that he can go fuck himself.
Wow. So did you date this person ever? Like, that's a lot of hostility for somebody.
No, I did.
Wow.
No, it had nothing to do with schizophrenia.
Are you sure?
100%.
So, Michelle, this is another yes or no question, because you love evading these things because you're always worried about offending somebody. But do you believe that two people with serious and persistent mental illness can survive a long-term marriage, like literally get married in their 30s until death do they part?
Yeah.
I believe it too, but I believe you have to be stable. I don't know that two really sick, really symptomatic, really desperate people can do it. Not because I don't think that each individual has the skills. I think when you're really, really lonely and when you're really, really desperate, you make bad relationship choices. And
I know.
I don't want to be mean to any of my exes, but if I look back at them, some of them I never should have been dating. That bad relationship was better than being alone. And I think that if I were healthy, I would have rather have been single than in a bad relationship.
I feel the exact same way about some of my exes. That why was I dating them? I just didn't want to be lonely.
Are you lonely now, Michelle?
Not lonely at all.
Because you're stable.
I'm totally stable. I have great friends. I have a great life.
Aw, who's your bestie?
I'm not telling you. Because you want me to say you.
Yeah, I know I'm not your bestie. I'm your worstie.
Yeah, you're my worstie.
Michelle, what advice do you have for all of the single, mentally ill people out there looking to forge ahead, make relationships, get married, live out their dreams in a healthy and productive way that makes them happy, their partner happy, and, you know, doesn't become fodder for everybody to say, man, I knew they shouldn't have get married. They crazy.
No, just you can do it, and don't listen to those people that think you shouldn't be getting married. Do what is best for you. If you think getting married is best for you, then do it. If you don't think it's best for you, then don't do it. You can do it. Gabe did it 3 times. If it doesn't work out the first time, obviously you could just get a divorce and do it 2 more times. Or 11 like he plans on.
This is terrible advice. So your advice is if you want to, do it, even if it's a bad idea, because after all, you can get divorced and leave a wake of... You know how bad I feel about my divorces.
That is not what I said. If you want to do it, go do it. Don't listen to people. Hopefully it works out. But if it doesn't work out, you can always get a divorce.
That's terrible advice.
How is that terrible
what if it's
advice?
Like this? Listen, what about this? If you want to jump off a skyscraper, do it. There's no reason to question yourself. Just jump. No, we don't want people to do that because we know it's a bad idea.
No, how is getting married comparable to jumping off a skyscraper? That's how big getting married is?
It's till death do us part. Jumping off a skyscraper is till death do you part.
How are you not dead?
I ask myself this every day.
You just got married 3 times, so you jumped off a skyscraper 3 times?
Yeah, it helps to be friends with your exes.
That's so strange. How are you friends with your ex-wives?
Not all of them.
Whatever.
Whatever. That's the best
okay,
you have.
Here's my advice. If Gabe can do it, you can do it.
That is probably an excellent place to end. Obviously, your mileage may vary. Do what feels right. But I have to say, as a guy who has both been divorced and happily married, if you are stable and healthy and can tolerate yourself, that's the time you should bring somebody else in to tolerate you. Those are your greatest odds.
That was sweet.
I know. Thanks, everybody, to tuning into this week's A Bipolar, A Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. Remember to share it with everybody that you know so that Michelle and I can achieve our goals of world domination. Thank you, and see you next week.
No hanky-panky!
You've been listening to A Bipolar, A Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. If you loved this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Head over to iTunes or your preferred podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. To work with Gabe, go to GabeHoward.com. To work with Michelle, go to schizophrenic.nyc. For free mental health resources and online support groups, head over to PsychCentral.com. The show's official website is PsychCentral.com/BSP. You can email us at show@PsychCentral.com. Thank you for listening, and share widely.